All right, hello everyone. You're welcome to today's career coaching session hosted by Hamoye. We are an edtech startup committed to preparing young adults and university students for careers centered around data, tailored to meet the demands of the ever-changing job landscape by simulating genuine work settings through hands-on internship. We bring together specialized coursework, informative webinars, and in recent times, hands-on AI projects. Today, events Today's event provides a valuable opportunity to gain a deeper understanding of the professional world as our speaker imparts expertise and lessons from their own journey. My name is Mercy, and my job at Hamoye is to make sure you have a good time. I'm joining you from Ibadan, Nigeria, and will be your host for today's session. A heartfelt welcome to everyone, including the outstanding interns of these Hamoye cohorts. Congratulations on your remarkable journey thus far. A special acknowledgement goes to the Hamoye Fellows and our dedicated team for making this session a reality. We are psyched to announce today that we have an industry expert with us, Charles Adetiloye. Mr. Charles has over 15 years worth of experience consulting and implementing large-scale data processing, AI and ML software platforms across different industry verticals. He has previously worked with Lightburn, Twitter, to name a few. He is the CEO and co-founder of one of the most successful providers of consulting services and builders of large-scale distributed reactive back-end systems, Maven Code. Charles has over a decade worth of experience in machine learning operations, and today he will be giving us an expert's view into career advancement in the modern tech world. However, before I hand over to Mr. Charles, please carefully take note of the following. All interns currently on the call on YouTube watching me on Zoom, please take note of the following. You're free to post your questions and comments on slido.com using the event code 58406222. Again, the event code 58406222. Please let's endeavor to post our questions on Slido and they'll be promptly attended to. Our Google form has just been opened to collate attendance for interns using the secret code IMPROVE. Using the secret code IMPROVE, all lowercase, IMPROVE, improve, all lowercase, no caps. And the form link will be dropping right now, both on YouTube and on Zoom. This form will be open only for 5 minutes, starting now. So anyone who isn't on the call, 5 minutes, between now and 5 minutes time, would not be able to fill out the form. We have pinned the first attendance form right now on YouTube and Zoom, and we want you to fill your form quickly in order to focus on the presentation. Over to you, Charles.
Hello. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, all right. Good day, everyone. It's good to be with you all and talk about the new space we're in right now, which is the generative AI space. So I'm going to be talking about how we can empower IT organizations with generative AI and how organizations, no matter where you work, can leverage and benefit from generative AI and the technology we have right now. So I'm going to share my screen shortly and we can get this going. Let me know where you can sit. Yeah. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, you can see your screen.
All right, cool. So we're gonna be talking about how we can leverage AI in organizations to like help our businesses and what we do, and how to improve efficiency in terms of security in every IT organization, which cuts across where most of you are gonna end up working on different projects in different organizations and things like that. So that's the types of today's talk. And let me move on. So what we're doing what we're going to be talking about is like how we can empower IT organizations, increase the needs for security, the power of AI, AI-driven approach, and I mean AI-driven applications and use cases and case studies and things like that. So before we get started, let's just go through this video that talks about ways where you can use IT and AI in organizations to improve efficiency.
I am a translator, transforming text into creative discovery. Movement into animation. And direction into action. I am a healer, exploring the building blocks that make us unique.
Sorry, Charles.
Modeling
Yep.
We
threats
can't see your
before they
screen
happen.
actually. We can
Oh,
only see your face. Sorry
oh,
about that.
my bad. Okay, I'm gonna stop over and try to reshare. You're right, I want to see my screen.
And we can see it now.
You can see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, let me go full screen again. Can you see now? Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
All right, cool.
I am a translator, transforming text into creative discovery. Movement into animation. And direction into action. I am a healer, exploring the building blocks that make us unique. Modeling new threats before they happen. Searching for the cures to keep them at bay. I am a visionary, generating new medical miracles. And giving us a new perspective on our sun to keep us safe here on Earth. I am a navigator, discovering a unique moment in a sea of content.
We're announcing the next generation.
And the perfect setting for any story. I am a creator, building 3D experiences from snapshots and adding new levels of reality to our virtual selves. I am a helper, bringing brainstorms to life. sharing the wisdom of a million programmers, and turning ideas into virtual worlds.
Build Northern Forest.
I even helped write the script. Breathed life into the words and composed the melody. I am AI, brought to life by NVIDIA, deep learning, and brilliant minds everywhere.
Yeah, so that was from the NVIDIA GPU Graphics Summit, I think last year. So um, what that shows you is like AI is pervasive and it's gonna be in everything we do. Let me see, I gotta move this one over. AI is going to be in everything you do, and this is the best time to be alive for anyone, especially at your age with what you do. It creates a lot of opportunities for you as long as you have the skill sets. AI is going to touch everything we do. So today we're going to talk about how AI can be used for your organization, no matter what you do, and areas of applications of AI. So imagine of areas of technology's relevance to IT organizations that what we see from day to day, customer relationship management and sales. So if you go to a lot of website right now, they have bots that chat and interact with you. Sometimes they think they're humans, but they're basically a model that understand the context of the business, and they can basically direct you and tell you what to do within the confines of that business or services. So AI chatbots and things like that are going to be very common. Predictive sales and analytics for identifying leads. If you're running a big organization, you want to know where the crux of your customers are, how you can connect with them, generate the next sales, and things like that. So AI is in that space as well. Personalized experience. If you ever go shopping online and after buying something, they recommend something else for you, that's another area where AI is going to become very pervasive, and you guys can take advantage of it as you build all these applications, recommendation engine and things like that, tailor marketing. Other areas are like supply chain and inventory management. You don't want to produce stuff if people are not going to buy it right away, so you can basically optimize your inventory, do predictive analytics for demand forecasting, automatic restocking. So there's going to be like an AI agent or bot that understands how many things people are buying, and based on that, the AI bot can trigger like, okay, go order more products, assemble more products and get them ready and things like that. So, and it goes into financial management and forecasting as well, where you can predict your cash flow and basically manage how you spend or budget or allocate your resource within the organization. A lot of all those things, we're going to be seeing a lot of AI agents and bots that understand your business, that act like a personal assistant, and can easily help you plan things and make suggestions, be able to see things that you won't see, basically cover your blind spots. The other areas that we're seeing a lot of applications right now, and we've done some work around this, is document management and workflow automation. So imagine a world where AI can read your emails, understand what's going on, and based on that, it composes a response for you. And you can, all you need to do is to just come in and approve the response, and it takes over all those things. So we're gonna go into that world in the next few years, where if you want to book a trip to, let's say you're going from Lagos to Cairo for vacation, you can have an AI model act as an assistant to check your calendar, what day you need to get there, how much you need to buy the flights, and all those things. And the AI agent is going to pre-plan all those things for you. Your job is just to approve it and make sure everything goes on well. So we're seeing a lot of that use case evolve right now, especially in the area of like document understanding and document intelligence, where AI models can understand what's in the documents, summarize the content of the document, and basically do some task on your behalf. So if you're working in the compliance industry, the AI model can analyze all the stuff that you have in your documents, check if it's, all the stuff that your customer has have in the document, check if everything complies with the rules of law. And if everything complies, then it approves it. If there's something you need to take an eye and check out again, the AI model will flag it and you can go check it out. So those are the opportunities in this space. It used to be a space that people run away from in the past few years, but now with all the tools coming with the AI, it creates a lot of opportunities for everyone to get in that space and get stuff done. The other part where we're seeing a lot of applications and use cases is in manufacturing and product design. Creating any product takes a lot of time. You go through a lot of iterations before you get to the final product. But now you can have an AI model that can quickly allow you to, you can prototype the design, and AI model can suggest different designs for you based on human interactions with your products, get you the feedback, understand the trends, what do people like, and based on that, the model can suggest stuff for you. So you go to ChatGPT right now, you can tell it to design and draw stuff for you, and it's going to draw it based on its own imagination. So imagine what you're seeing right now and try to extrapolate to the next 2, 3 years. It's going to be amazing in terms of what you can do with all these tools, where they can basically give you ideas, give you inspirations to get things going. So those are the spaces where we're seeing a lot of applications of AI in the IT industries. And last but not the least is IT security, which is a very critical part of any business. As your business grows, you become more vulnerable to the bad actors. So sometimes you have to be on your I mean, not sometimes, all the time you have to be on your A game, because you can't afford to slack anytime. They will take advantage of it. So leveraging AI for threat detection and intrusion, I think it's a big thing, and it's going to create a lot of opportunity in the IT space, especially things related to cybersecurity, DevOps, where you need a lot of extra intelligence to identify patterns and trends and be able to pick up something before everybody understand what's going on, and be able to, rather than being reactive, you become a lot more well, how will I put it? Rather than be reactive, you can be a lot more preemptive. So you can preempt if a bad thing is going to happen and be able to avert it before that situation occurs. So this is a typical use case that I like to show, because I talked earlier about the document and content extraction, where before now, if you're into compliance or you want to understand what's in a document, you spend like hours and hours trying to understand what's in that document. It could take weeks sometimes. But now with AI models, you can ingest unstructured documents, and within a matter of seconds, you can get on insight into it. So you can, in this use case, we have documents flowing in. We ingest the documents, we process it, we pre-train. We'll basically ingest the documents, we create embeddings, extract entities from the document if you're interested in extracting key information about people mentioned in that document. We can go back and over time uptrain the data of the model with our own data to improve the accuracy. So you go through several iteration around this point. You have human in the loop, because sometimes the machine sees something that you don't normally expect, and they call that, excuse me, hallucination. But in our case, we try to put human in the loop. So we have somebody who's like a main subject matter expert come in and see the predictions of the model. If everything gets to a point where the accuracy is like top notch, then we can say, okay, the model is ready for production. So in this case, we can basically uh, uh, put the value, the model results and the embeddings results in this vector storage database. Then we have an LLM that sits on top of it, and people can start asking questions and answers and getting their response back. So if you're into compliance, you can ask questions about a document like, hey, what's the name of these candidates? When was the last time they did X and stuff like that? And it becomes something like you see in ChatGPT on Gemini, where you can interact intelligently with the document. So over time, as you get more document flow in, you can go through this process, extract stuff, summarize stuff, do quick Q&A, FAQ and stuff like that. So imagine the leverage you have with this kind of tool. So something that would take you like 3 weeks before, you can knock it down in like 3 minutes, and you can do it at scale. So that's what AI is going to do. That's what's coming to us. Like it or not, it's coming full force, and that's going to be in the industries and in the organizations in the next few years. So just going a little bit deep diving into what I showed earlier. So if you go into any organizations, like some of you might have been or you're about to, organizations have different business lines like sales, finance. They operate in silos, and if you want to get something from sales to finance, you probably need to search through many things. They have different applications, CRM, ERPs. They have different platforms. Some are on-prem, some are in the cloud, and they have different data sets. Some are internal, some are external. Sales data are internal. Weather data, they're collecting it from an API. They have different trends. But if you're trying to like understand or build a model to solve a problem, sometimes it's difficult because you got to talk to all these different entities, and sometimes you miss something. But where AI comes into place to simplify the complexity. So you can basically build an AI model that basically connects to the data source. You create an embedding vectors that get stored in the vector database. And once you basically do that, you can put an LLM on top of it and be able to start asking questions. So normally something that you need someone who is an expert or has been in the organization for like 10, 20 years to help you answer. Suddenly, you can now use AI to basically crisscross across your data in the organization, be able to like extract all the key informations and ask questions based on what you need. And the AI model, to a large extent, will be able to provide you the results. If not, it gets you to a point where you have enough information to know who you need to talk to. So that's the state of the world right now, and this is where everything is going. And it's an exciting time to be in this field. So the other use case that we've worked on and in this space is basically using AI to analyze what's going on in the construction workspace. So normally, if you're working in the construction side or on the field, I mean, who could have thought that you can use AI for this in a few years ago, but with the advances in AI right now, we can basically capture what's going on the construction side, like when the truck got delivered. And you basically have a snapshot of information with a camera that captures the data every few seconds or minutes and basically keeps it. So now we can build an AI model that analyzes the construction site. How many trucks did you see? How many people did you see? If there are a lot of people, that means there are a lot of activities going on. What are they doing? Are they moving stuff? Or are they digging? So the AI can basically tell you what the person is doing on the field, and based on that, you can construct and estimate how well the project is going. So, if every time I take a picture during the week, I'm expecting to see 100 people in that picture, but I'm only seeing 10, then that means the project is not going to get done based on the timeline that we basically supply to the customers. So, but in this case, if I expect 100 people and I see over 90 people working at the same time, I can easily know that we're still going to be on track to delivering the project. So basically, once all this data get aggregated, the AI model basically understands what's in the picture, summarizes it, and produces a report. And based on that report, we can see how well we're tracking with our estimated date of delivery for that project. So those are the things that AI can do for you, and it's going to get a lot more interesting in the next few years as we improve on all these technologies and the capabilities that they can do. So um, I will now just go down to a use case around IT security where there's a big need in that space. So if you're building all these things, sometimes you need to have a lot of secured environment because you don't want to build all these cool technologies and someone comes to compromise it. So that's a big deal right now in this space. So one of the things we can leverage AI to do as we're building all this cool product is to know how to secure things and understand the threat size against the product you're building and you're deploying in the enterprise. So with AI, you can understand the threat landscape. So AI can adapt to counteract new threats showing up that you may not have seen. So basically, as you ingest all this data, so let's say my camera model works all day, but suddenly it's doing some stuff at night. So the AI model can try understand like, okay, this model is not meant to be inferencing and producing results at this time. What IP is, where is the source IP for the data coming in? And if it's not within the range of what your model understands, it needs to accept data, you can easily shut it down. The other thing is like one thing that comes with AI is like vast amounts of data coming at you, and you have a lot of log data, a lot system events, and sometimes it might be overwhelming to process all this data. But with AI, all this data can easily be analyzed. You can understand the patterns. The AI model can spot patterns of things that you normally don't see, and basically surface it out for you to act on it. So those are the advantages of leveraging AI in this space with the volume of data that we need to process and analyze, especially when it comes to security and things like that. The other thing is proactive or preemptive threat detection. So basically, um, before something happens, there's some cues that normally surface in terms of how some series of events that will have occurred that you may be able to track and recognize the eventuality. So that's the advantage of running an AI system at scale in any organization, is that you can understand these threats, anticipate what's going to happen, and based on that, you can have your resource or people in your IT organization know how to respond to it. So those are the kind of things you want to be able to understand and be able to do as quickly as possible, because the longer the intruder stays in your system, the more damage is done. So being able to being proactive and being able to preempt all these situations and act on time, I think is very important. So the other thing, like I showed earlier, is the complexity of modern IT environments. As organizations grows, they acquire different software, they acquire different companies, and you have all these disparate systems that are not all connected together. So one of the things you want to be able to do is to connect all these things together and provide a unified view of what's going on. So I can ask questions and I can have an agent that understand where the answer to my question is within the organization and be able to answer me. So that way, you have a single view of what's going on across all the systems. So the agent's workflow technology with AI basically simplifies that and makes it easy for you. And the other thing right now, which is going to be a big problem, is because I mean, to manage all these systems as we build them, it becomes a lot of problem to get a right resource, like someone with enough experience, someone with enough knowledge, somebody who understands and has seen it all and can basically tell you what's going on. So one of the things AI will help us do is to basically scale our efforts. So that means um, I cannot be up online 24/7 trying to monitor if there's an intrusion. Once you're working from 9 to 5, or maybe whatever time or hours you're working, you can basically react to something. But what happens when you're off the clock? So basically having all these AI agents and bots that basically can analyze things, understand if there's a threat and send out a notification, I think is going to be very important, because AI is going to help us scale our capacity. It's going to augment what we can do and basically help us extend our time in terms of how we respond to all these things. So basically, it helps address the problem of resource limitations. So that's one of the areas that AI is going to help us a lot in any organization. So I'm going to just skip this and go to this. So like I said earlier, I think I might have talked a little bit about this. So, power of AI in any organization. Number one thing is advanced AI data analytics swiftly allows you to go through all these data sets. So you have massive data sets that are coming at you. So with AI, you can easily understand and analyze all this data. So you build your data pipeline, you ingest all this data, you have your model deployed, and the model can basically filter and tell you if something is bad or good and things like that. So all those key decisions that will take an analyst or someone or people in the loop bunch of weeks to get done, you can do it in sub-seconds with AI models. So the goal is to basically train out all these AI models to understand the use case and what to do and things like that. So the other thing is predictive analytics. So and I know a lot of you guys have been doing that right now, but it becomes a lot more relevant when you're like in a big organization. Let's say you're doing retail or you're like in an healthcare institution. You want to know how many patients will come into your hospital this week based on what's going on. You want to use that to schedule the number of staff that will be on call and things like that. So you can leverage AI to do a lot of all these things and do it at scale. So forecasting financial situation based on external factors and things like that. Those are kind of things that AI can do. So, in addition, behavioral insights. So, you want to know how people are interacting with the system, what they do, what they don't do, what part of the applications are they clicking on? Is there like an insider threats and things like that? So, you can gather all this data. Those are data that you normally don't care about before, but now a lot of all these organizations care about everything you do, all the interactions you have with the system. What button are you clicking? How often do you click it? What time of the day did you click the button? What dates? How many things did you do after clicking those buttons? So you can capture all those data sets and basically build a model that understands your behavior and be able to respond appropriately and shows you what you need to see based on what you did and things like that. So a lot of all those things are not possible with advances in AI and things like that. Then one important thing that we need to talk about is continuous adaptation. So prior to the times we are right now, whenever you build a software, it's a static entity. It's just data in, data output. So what that means is like if something changes, you have to redeploy the software, and the software doesn't really understand the new metrics or the new input, or it may even crash because it doesn't really understand what's going on. But with AI right now, you can constantly retrain your model. So you don't have a static API that basically takes an input and produces an output. And if it doesn't recognize the input, it's going to crash. But when you build an AI-based software system or platform, you can basically retrain the model. So as you get a new set of inputs, you can basically feed it back, retrain the model, create a new model entity, and that model gets deployed and it captures and responds to all the new scenarios and things like that. So that's the beauty of all this new systems in that it's not really something that you build and you deploy and you wait till 5 years to refresh it. Or you continuously refresh it as you see more data. So you can eliminate any implicit bias or generalization that a model may be doing because it's not been able to identify new scenarios. So that's the beauty of all these new emerging spaces in AI. So this is a typical use of large language models for processing data as it come in. So you have all these devices. It could be like your application coming in from mobile device. You aggregate the logs, you put it in a vector store, and from the vector store, you can have large language models sitting on top of the data sets. And what that does for you is like you can easily start asking questions like, a chat GPT user. It makes it easy for you in terms of what you do, in terms of interacting with the system and understanding what's going on, how you respond to anything coming at you and stuff like that. So you can ask questions, you can view what's going on. So a lot of all these things you normally won't be able to do it without AI, but now with AI, Gen AI, LLMs, and all the new tools out there, you can easily ask all these questions and everything comes at you like right away. Something that you normally will write a query for or you won't even imagine. But the AI model can tell you something or alert you of something, and it makes it easy for you to understand what's going on in your systems. I think that's it. Any questions? Let's get to the Q&A. Hello?
Hi, Charles.
Yeah, how's it going?
All right. Thank you so much
Yep.
for the session. So, guys, it's time for the questions to begin to roll in. But before we begin to take questions, we are going to roll out another attendance form. We're going to roll out another attendance form. Thank you so much for the enlightening session, Charles. I'm quite sure everybody has gained one or two things, and we should have questions. So, but before then, please, the second attendance form we're dropping now both on Zoom and YouTube, like previously said, and the secret code this time around is upgrade, UPGRADE, and then the form link will be dropping as well. So can
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
I said, please, guys, let's begin to roll in. Questions, please. While we wait for that, as the form link is dropping, please let's fill out the form. Okay. Do we have any questions? Because we're not seeing any questions here just yet. Questions, everybody? There should be questions.
Hello, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure. Michael, go for it.
Yes, please. You've said a lot there, and we would like to thank you for so much information you've given. Now, a lot of us are, would I say, new.
Hello, can I ask a question?
Our experience, and we're all learning. I, as an individual, I would like to be an entrepreneur, in this AI generative space. How can I start and how can I successfully become an entrepreneur in the generative AI space, if I would ask?
Oh yeah, sure. That's a good question. So, the cool thing about this space right now is like it's a new paradigm. It's kind of like a gold rush where everybody's trying to get in, and there's a lot of use case. It's going to disrupt a lot of things. So, what I would suggest if you're an entrepreneur trying to see how things are going is to understand uh try to understand the technology to a to a large extent, like what Gen AI is all about, what it can do. If you're an entrepreneur, sometimes if you have the bandwidth and you have the time, you want to go into details, but if not, you can understand the systems like, okay, if X happens, what's gonna be the output? So a lot of all those things you want to understand it. Then you want to go back to that industry where you want to disrupt as an entrepreneur. So let's say it's the travel industry, where people right now, whenever they want to travel or book a flight, they go online and they search and they look at the prices and stuff like that. So if you're an entrepreneur trying to disrupt that space, you can think about, okay, how can I build a model where I can just tell like, oh, I want to go to Paris, and it's gonna basically take that information, search out the flights, recommend the price, and ask for my approval. So that's a use case. So I think that's basically trying to understand the industry you're trying to disrupt, understand the technology, and trying to see how you can marry it together. So I think that's the best way to think about this, because a lot of all the things we know now, they're gonna change. Prior to a lot of all the technologies around us, they're built based on the search engine mindsets where you go in, you search for something. But now it's different with Gen AI and ChatGPT, where there's a lot more intelligence. I don't want to go in and search for stuff and show me tens of thousands of stuff to pick from. I just want you to help me pick and make the right decision, which is what these things are pointing towards. So understanding the vertical you're trying to disrupt, understanding the technology, and bringing them together, that would be my recommendation. Does that answer your question?
Yes, in a way, yes. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. We can take it offline too if we have more questions.
All right, thank you. Do you have any other thing to say? The person asking question, I'm referring to you.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm fine at the moment.
All right. Okay. Sam Ayodeji asked, what career trajectory would you advise to someone just starting out, given the constantly emerging new focuses and frameworks?
Yeah, that's a good one, but um, it's a little bit risky recommending career path for someone because these things are always in a flux. Like I mean, a lot of the things that exist right now didn't exist 5 years ago, and things that existed 5 years ago didn't exist like 20 years ago. Like few months ago, a few years ago, people wanted to be data engineers and data scientists, but now a lot of people want to be like get into prompting, Gen AI modeling and stuff like that. So what I would say is to just stay hungry and try to be a continuous learner. Don't try to fix yourself on a career path because if you put yourself on that path, things might have changed before you get there. So the way you can succeed in this field and what has worked for me personally is to basically be curious enough to learn new things. That means sometimes you need to unlearn what you've learned. So a lot of things I learned like 10, 20 years ago right now, I try to unlearn it because if you know something, it might be an interest to you learning new things. So you try to be able to, you need to be able to pick up new things and learn it as you go because things are evolving. You don't want to set up a target for yourself and you get to that target, you find out that you're way off from where things are. So the goal is to just keep reevaluating yourself every time you do stuff. Try to see how it stacks with what they're doing in the industry. Go to meetups like this, and there are a lot more understand where things are going and try to make sure you're completely aligned with that. So rather than setting a career path, I would say just be a hungry learner that wants to learn every day. And that's how you succeed in this space. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Charles. Ajayi John has been raising his hand. Please, do you want to say something? You want to ask Charles a question? Ajayi John?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
thank you
right.
so much. So, once again, thank you, Charles, for this section. It was really an enlightening time. So, my question is, we understand that LLMs can be queried based on, since they query database by tokenizing it and then extracting useful information from it. So, on this aspect, when we're talking about querying, how can these LLMs be used for identifying outliers and flagging flagging them promptly? Since it is majorly the user queries it, the LLM tokenizes the data treat and then returns an answer. But in the case of flagging outliers and giving out warning signs, how exactly is what I don't understand. So can you shed more light on that aspect, please?
Yeah, so basically, I think you're mixing up the concept of what LLM does with what a typical machine learning does. So LLM is kind of like you've trained it. It's they call language model. You've trained it on a large corpus of data, and they can basically understand scenarios based on what's happened. They can know what's going to happen next and next and next. So they're context aware. That's for one. And what you basically the outliers in the case of identifying outliers. Let's say you have a system and there's an outlier. You want to know them to understand it. So what you want to do is to basically take up your data. So it's kind of like an hybrid approach of what you do in ML and you can overlay with like Gen AI. So you can have your model that basically understand what's going on threat wise, and you can either do a labeled model that understand that with some data that you've used to train and understand the scenarios, or you can use unlabeled data where you just do clustering and stuff like that. So, and on top of it, you can now put an LLM. So let's say you have your data, you have a table that once you have all your input vector parameters that goes into that table, let's say you're trying to do fraud detection. So whenever there's a fraud, you can have a k-mean square that calculates and computes the fraud column. So once you've built that and you have your output, you can now have an LLM on top of it that basically can understand the results of your AI ML predictions and be able to tell you what's going on. So the LLM part provides like human-like intelligence, the way people understand it. So that's where it comes in. But in terms of like understanding all the way down to the nitty-gritty, it might be a lot of work to like get that to LLM. So, but what we do or what I've done in the past is to have an hybrid approach where you use your traditional machine learning approach where you can do a k-mean square on the input vector parameters and compute what kind of give a label to the line, the row, or the column in your table there. Okay, it's a fraud or it's not a fraud. It's a binary classification. So if it's a fraud, then you can now put an LLM on it that understands and tells you why it's a fraud. So it delves into explainability of the data set as well. So you can say like, okay, I think this transaction is a fraud because it originated at this point by this person and this person normally doesn't buy this quantity. So those are things that you can put LLM on top of your model to do, in addition to what your traditional ML will have done for you. Does that answer your question?
All
You
right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
think you still answer. Are you saying something?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, thank you so much. So it's majorly an hybrid approach.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
my initial idea was there was a continuous querying system that that queries the database continuously. But I think the hybrid approach looks perfect.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
hybrid approach, and you can have an kind of like an agentic workflow that basically understands what has happened. So if it's a threat, then it knows to like tell you this is what's happening and stuff like that. So it still queries the database, but it's not like continuously querying like you would do with what you're saying. But it's more of a hybrid approach that I would do.
All right. Thank you so much. I
Sure.
guess.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Charles. Okay, we have a question from Slido. How can AI come to play for small businesses?
Oh, good question. So AI is going to touch a lot of the things we're doing, and imagine you running a small business in Africa and you want to do a trip between, let's say, Kenya and Lagos and Senegal. So in Senegal, they speak Wolof. In Nigeria, they probably speak Yoruba, Igbo. In Kenya, they speak Swahili all the way to Uganda. But if you want to trade with a local out there running a small business, those are like different languages. You don't speak the same language. Obviously, it's going to be a big challenge. But with AI now, you can train a model that can do language translation. So if somebody is speaking Wolof in Senegal and I'm speaking Yoruba in Lagos, we can have an AI model that can translate the languages and we can talk to each other as if we know what we're talking about, which we do. So, so those are the places where AI is going to disrupt a lot of things. Right now, you can have language translator if you're traveling, if you're a tourist, you travel from one country to the other, you want to ask questions, you basically speak to your phone and Google will translate it. But I love all these local languages where a lot of people are speaking it. Not a lot of people are speaking it, but there's still a lot of commerce that can be done between all those regions. I think leveraging AI in those situations for a small farmer or a small business owner, I think that's a typical use case. So I think there's a lot of potential applications, and that's just one niche. There's a lot of other things that you can do as a small business owner leveraging AI. But the main challenge for a small business person is like the cost of implementing all these technologies, which is still very expensive right now. But I think as things get more commoditized and a lot more entrepreneurs come into this space to disrupt things, it's going to get a lot more better. And there's going to be a lot more inroad for small business owners to use it. But I think in terms of how we view our lives, AI is going to come and change a lot of things. Just like everybody has a cell phone right now. In the next 10, 20 years, every small business owner will be doing and touching AI in one way or the other.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for that. Still have some questions. All right, this one is from YouTube and it says, please, what's the best approach or approaches to handling patterns like student enrollment and withdrawals? in a school system with generative AI?
Yeah. So again, Gen AI might be another layer to that. So I'll go with that bit approach. So basically, if people you want to check their enrolling pattern, people pulling off and enrolling and stuff like that. So that's a typical churn problem where things that people are churning. You want to predict the likelihood of somebody not completing the time or somebody not enrolling and stuff like that. And there's a lot of factors that basically um happen. I mean, maybe the loss of income and things like that. So you can capture all this data and build a normal machine learning model. And the machine learning model produces a bunch of numbers, the probability and stuff like that. But in order to explain those things, you can now put an LLM on top of it with generative AI and be able to provide an explainable reason so it can help you explain the results. So whenever someone is about to churn or leave the school, you can basically understand all the trigger points and the AI model will basically explain it to you that, okay, this is why uh, Joe is about to leave the school, blah, 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 blah. The parents move or the distance and everything. So a lot of all those things AI can explain to you. But before you get to all those points, you need to like collect all the data points, all the inputs, and make sure you train a model that can understand the scenario. And based on that, you can have an AI model that can help you explain the results of the prediction and the likelihood. Then you can talk to the students or easily mitigate against it.
All right. Thank you once again. We have one more question here, and I don't know if you will still have more time
Oh
for
yeah, sure,
questions in
sure.
case
I
there are
mean,
still more
let's
questions.
keep going so we don't keep people
All right.
hold.
Okay. How can one approach evaluating LLM and AI systems given the tendency for hallucinations that we've seen with some common LLMs?
Oh, good question. So it's a little bit tough because I mean training all these models takes a lot of data, like the entire internet as an input couple sometimes. So if you want to evaluate something at that scale, it's going to be a lot of work to do. But what you can do to reduce or prevent hallucination is like two approach. Number one thing is again, you can use something called the SLM. Instead of using a large language model, which is LLM, you can use a small language model that is trained to understand your own context and your own business. So that way, the model is not thinking wide and trying to make up stuff. Because what happens whenever the model I know hallucinate is that they've seen a pattern that they think is right, but you know it's not right because they've basically seen large data sources. So if you want to reduce that, maybe you should use a small language model focused on your own business. You fine tune it and make it understand your context. So it's not going to go out of its way and try to say what doesn't really exist because you basically create the confines and stuff like that. The other approach is to ground the models using you build a RAG, retrieval augmented generation, that basically even though you're using a large language model, but you create a context around it and you can ground it and say like, okay, if you don't know the answer, don't try to make this up and things like that. So you basically improve your prompt and make it a lot more better. So those are the kind of things that you can do to basically prevent hallucination. But it's still a big deal right now. But in terms of evaluating the model, there's no standard, well-defined way out there that people are following right now because of the way things are going and the context and how big the LLMs are. So the main problems people are trying to solve right now is to apply to their use case and get a result out of it. But most of the time the results has been good enough. So people try to like ignore the hallucination part. But it's gonna be a lot more important than as people start using these LLMs for mission critical applications. Like helping a doctor. So if the model predicts the wrong thing and the doctor gives a patient the wrong medication, that's going to be disastrous. So those are the things that still needs to be improved and worked on. But I don't think there's a solid way right now that I can recommend, but I'm still reading as well on this. Imagine it's new. So if I see anything, I can get back to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Charles.
Sure.
We are kind of through with the questions we have with us currently. I don't know if anyone has questions from those that are on YouTube or are willing to ask right away. Anybody, any question before we bring this session to an end? All right. We're not seeing any more questions, so we'll bring this to a close. Big thanks to Charles for sharing his insights and thoughts so generously. Every second we've spent here has been super, super informative. And Charles even volunteered to see some other people offline to answer some more questions. So you see why you should attend sessions like this. We don't have to force you guys to attend sessions like this. It's for your own benefits. All right, so you are awesome interns, and everyone who joined, I'm sure you picked up some really useful tips and know-how from today's talk. Special thanks to the hardworking Hamoye team and everyone who pitched in to make this webinar a success. Have an awesome weekend. Until next time, take care, everyone. And thank you once again, Charles.
You're welcome. Thanks,
All
everyone.
right.
Yeah.
All right.